The concept of warm-up is known to all of us. It exists in pretty much every game and sport you might know. Most of the time it represents a set of less challenging tasks to prepare us for the more demanding activities like match or training. The purpose is to make our body and mind aware of what is coming and literally warm it up for a performance. A lot of players, maybe you included, warm up incorrectly for Counter-Strike and they are not even aware of it. In this video, we will talk about warm-up and how to build your own routine that makes sense. I will also show you my own routine that I'm using for past couple of months as a professional CS2 player and explain why I do certain things the way I do. Before we jump in, here are the timestamps for the video in case you want to jump into the chapter you are interested in, but for the full context, I would suggest watching the whole video. Let's get in. So what is warm-up and why is it important? Warm-up is a thought-out routine we repeat each day before competitive play or training. This helps us to play at our best from the round one and helps brings our skill to a consistent level. It also helps us to reach our A game more often and for longer periods of time. So when everyone understands what warm-up does, why so many players struggle to have one that actually helps them? Well, the reason is a lot of players just copy what others do, especially pro players. Warm-up is a very individual set routine that is exact opposite of one size fits all. It requires realizing your weaknesses, strengths, and it has to be tailor-made for you. The amount of players who play without warm-up routine is shockingly high from my experience. If you play aimbots for 20 minutes and the next day you just play deathmatch for 20 minutes, you don't have a routine. You have a warm-up that is random and your performance will be inconsistent. And with the lack of structure, you also compromise the psychological aspect, as warm-up is important even for injury prevention. Neglecting warm-up can have a long-term negative effects, so that is why in this video I want to inspire you to rethink how you warm up and give you some ideas how to improve it effectively. By the way, I had to re-record some parts, so don't mind the setup and the clothing and anything. This is the continuance of the video. What does a good warm-up consist of? A warm-up consists of two parts: physical preparation and in-game warm-up in that order. Physical preparation is for cognitive benefits and injury prevention. This is done through light exercise, ideally the whole body, but minimally your arms and wrists. We must not neglect this part as it can cost us in the future. Injuries from repetitive stress in gaming might take years to develop, but when they do develop, they can be devastating for players. The symptoms that indicate that you might have a problem coming can be easily overlooked, and thus it is important to focus on prevention from the beginning. Good thing about it is that only a few minutes can go a long way. For the in-game warm-up, there are two main components for Counter-Strike: aim and movement. I'm going to provide you with a set of modules you can pick and choose from to build your own perfect warm-up. I highly recommend testing every single module I will mention and write down 3 or 4 of those where you had most fun. The whole point of warm-up is to make you ready in a more enjoyable fashion. If you don't look forward to warm-up, you will rush through it, or even worse, skip it completely. It won't stick and the routine will be destroyed. There are other ways to make it fun by, of course, listening to your favorite music or podcast. I sometimes listen to YouTube videos, or I had a period where I listened to audiobooks. All that made it more enjoyable for me. Another great way is to invite a teammate or a friend to join you for this session. You can just casually chat, or you can push each other to improve by playing on the same server and seeing who can get a better score. When building your perfect warm-up routine, you need to cover both movement and aim. To help you with this, I've split modules into 3 categories: aim, movement, and hybrid. Hybrid covers both areas, but you might need to play it for longer to get properly warmed up. An optimal warm-up would be, for example, 10 minutes in aim and 10 minutes in movement, or just 20 minutes with the hybrid module. The point is, again, to choose whatever makes you feel the best. Lengthwise, a warm-up should last from 20 to 45 minutes. Let's start with the first category of modules: aim warm-up. So aim trainers. I did a separate video on my 30-day aim trainer challenge, and ever since that I'm using Kovacs or AimLab on pretty much daily basis. It's part of my daily warm-up routine, but also my aim practice routine. It is a great way to isolate an aim scenario which will make you feel the mouse without you being worried of getting killed or paying attention to movement such as counter-strafing. Some operators might prefer to warm up flicking this way, while riflers can benefit from target switching or tracking tasks. The downside is that while it is very customizable, it will never mimic the actual game like CS2, where movement plays a huge part. This is a great way to start off your routines before you boot up the game. Workshop maps. So disclaimer, workshop maps in CS2 are super scuffed right now. They are far from what they were in CSGO, but I will include them anyway as I am hopeful Valve will fix it soon enough. Main reason is that mappers don't yet have the same tools for map creation like before. Thus, it is difficult for them to create workshop maps that have the needed features for what we need for the warm-up. But luckily there are some that are good enough to include, so let's talk about those. CSGO Hub. Most popular workshop map within CS2 right now. It has a bunch of game modes where you can practice stat the game, but also tracking, flicking and spraying. It has far less options that it had in CSGO, but it is still a solid way to warm up, which I see a lot of pro players use. Furthermore, it feels incredibly clunky at times when the shots somehow don't register on moving targets properly. But as I said, we have to work with what Valve cooked for us. Aimbots. So we all know this one. Standard aimbots arena, which we all played at some point. To me, it is a bit inferior to CSGO Hub as it has a bit more ways to make it challenging, but honestly, this is preference. If you want to warm up with an actual CS on static targets, either of these two maps will do the job and some more. Recall Master, this is honorable mention. I personally love the concept of the map, but I only include it in my warm-up after I have been away from the game for some time and I need to remind myself of spray patterns. And yes, I don't remember them by heart, I remember them by feeling, and this is a great tool to include in your aim practice though. Now we are going to continue into the second category, movement warm-up. So we have KZ and Serve. For this game mode, you will have to search for an online servers, and to be honest, I would avoid them for now. Serve is literally unplayable in CS2 due to smoothing and Fix is nowhere in sight. It's a shame as I had a lot of fun adding Serve sessions to my routines back in CSGO and I had always fun time. Workshop maps, only up. This is the best I found for movement practice, which is ridiculously annoying in CS2. Only Up got popular towards the end of CSGO and it was ported into CS2 as it's pretty much fun way to work on your jumping skills. If you want to test the map, don't forget to set your shader settings on high for the best experience, and yes, it is buggy at times, but I have to yet find a better movement map. If you know one, let me know. That closes the movement category. Lastly, we're going to look at hybrid warm-up modules. So deathmatch. In hybrid warm-up, you will face real opponents. Real players against you mean you need to increase your focus on both movement and aim. This is why hybrid warm-up is often the most effective way to warm up, which I agree with, but I don't agree that it should be the only way you warm up. Deathmatch is going to be a place where you die a lot. Do not care about your score at all. Try to take as many duels as you possibly can, even those where you are in heavy disadvantage. Camping in the corner, waiting for people to come by is losing its purpose. Try out every shooting technique. This is a great place where you not only tap or burst, but also spray your targets which are moving realistically. This improves your tracking, tension management, and target switching. Deathmatch should be a part of everyone's warm-up routine. Only exception would be, again, that if you don't enjoy it. I met people who were within 5 minutes of playing tilted off the planet because they die a lot. They die in the back, and the sense of hopelessness when you can't even fight back is so annoying to them. I get it, and little tip I would give is to join less populated servers first. I find 21 players on the server optimal number, so I get string of duels constantly, but at the same time it doesn't get to the point where we just spawn kill each other. Luckily, there is one option people don't talk about enough, in my opinion. That is aim deathmatch. Instead of playing regular maps, you play aim map, which is very simple and straightforward arena. This ensures you will have a lot of duels and you will never die in the back. However, these duels are not as realistic as they become too repetitive very quickly. But it is an option that I had to mention as aim deathmatch is something that I did for years instead of regular deathmatch servers. Next one is Refrag. Before I touch on Refrag, I need to say that this video is not sponsored by them or anyone else. If you like that no ads appear in these in-depth videos, please consider hitting that like and subscribe to allow me doing these more often. Thank you. It would be dishonest of me not to include Refrag in this video. The service they provide is actually very well polished, frequently updated, and very easy to use. They have multiple game modes which, despite playing against simulated bots, will ensure realistic gameplay. I know a lot of pro players use this tool to warm up on game modes like Pre-Fire or Defender, which I tried on stream and it's been incredible fun. Since this is actually third-party software, it comes with a few disadvantages compared to any other module I mentioned in this video so far. You will actually have to make an account and get a subscription on their website, but in my opinion, for the price they offer, it is very much worth it. Also, setting up a server takes some time as you get, familiar with everything, but I suggest at least giving it a try. Now we talk about retakes/executes, and these modes are custom-made scenarios on competitive maps which mimic other planned situation. The round starts the moment T's plant the bomb and CDs try to retake. This adds a good amount of realism into duels as well as improving your clutch, mechanics and game sense. I know some FaZe players love to join a random retake servers during the tournaments for this unusual but fun practice. And execute is basically the same concept, but this time terrorists just try to hit the side with an execute or a predetermined strategy. So the idea stays, but the type of the round shifts the other way around. Duels and arenas. So these servers were also super fun, but since CS2 I struggled to find any. Basically you are put in a 1v1 arena against a random player on the server. If you win your duel, you move up by 1 level. If you lose, you move down. The system ensures you will face somewhat similarly skilled players with the same score against you, and you try to outduel them either through aim or positioning. Okay, physical warm-up. So warm-up doesn't have to start at the PC necessarily. Professionals use other means of warm-up before they even launch the game. The only thing I feel comfortable recommending personally is Powerball. Powerball is a small exercise tool that helps you exercise the muscles around your wrist and forearm thanks to its gyroscope. It also helps with both rehabilitation and injury prevention. As I'm not an expert, as you can see, I have consulted a few messages with Dr. Who is a physical therapist that focuses on gaming and esports. Here's what I learned. So static stretching seems to be overrated for warm-up. You might have stumbled upon these stretches in old gaming focused physically therapy videos. The trend now is more focused on light exercise. Light exercise is also something that has gained popularity lately amongst us, professional players. As I'm not qualified to show you specific routines, I will reference Dr. Who and his 1HP YouTube channel, where you will find a lot of useful information which exercises you can benefit from. Surprisingly, the main benefit of physical preparation is still performance. Research has shown even as little as 3 minutes at the correct intensity can lead to cognitive benefits. Though it probably is best to not cut this part short and invest at least 10 to 15 minutes each day to have a more general physical preparation that includes full body exercise, including shoulder, wrist and finger dexterity warm-ups. The other benefits for performance are going to be through increasing muscle temperature, oxygen uptake alongside with improved neural activation. Here are actionable steps you can take from this chapter. So you can try a Powerball and use it for 1 minute in each hand before your in-game warm-up. Alternatively, use a warm-up routine from 1HP. I've linked a few in the description below, so pick the one that fits you best. If you experience pain or discomfort while gaming, visit the 1HP website linked to the description for injury consultations and online physical therapy services. I've collaborated with them to offer you a 10% discount code, and I also receive a small benefit and a kickback from your purchase, so full disclosure. So let's talk about the example of my warm-up. This is how my warm-up looks for full context and maybe for inspiration. As I mentioned, I start with physical warm-up, which was prepared for me by my personal coach. I wrote this before game activation routine into a document which can be found also down in the description of this video. It consists of 3 parts: core activation, mobility drills, and CNS activation, which stands for Central Nervous System. It's not difficult exercises, I don't want to get sweaty or anything like that, just enough to get me going. This usually takes me around 25 minutes, but you don't need to exercise for that long. You can start with a 3 to 5 minutes warm-up and increase it over time as needed. Personally, I'm thinking about shortening this routine down to like 20 minutes, but as I said, it's important to tweak your routine slightly. I know, for example, Zaibu is doing a routine with a tennis ball before games, and who knows, maybe that is the secret to his CS2 superpowers. Now let's move into in-game warm-up. I come back to it and revisit it every couple of months to add or replace some modules, but since I have very good experience with aim trainers lately, I'm including them into my usual routine paired up with a deathmatch, which works very well for me for years already. So I use 15 minutes of aim trainer. Currently, I'm still in the process of finding optimal task list, but In the aim labs, I'm currently doing 5 minutes of VT 2T wide pokeball, which is very easy fast flicking task combined with speed target switching. Next task is 5 minutes of CG just click micro to warm up those micro adjustments while correcting aim on short distances. And for last 5 minutes, I'm still experimenting with tasks, but tracking task called VT sway track smooth is what I'm currently using. Then I move into 15 minutes of deathmatch. So this is where I switch my focus on movement and proper jiggle peaks and counter strafing. As I said, I'm constantly moving around the map, trying to actively look for duels. I warm up both with AK and M4 for 10 minutes before I switch to Deagle or USB for the last 5 minutes. Important thing is to stay active and be mindful of your shooting techniques. Don't forget to try tapping, bursting and spraying. I make it extra difficult for me by forcing myself into these techniques no matter the distance of a duel I'm having. So sometimes it looks super awkward to spray a target which is across the map, but it works for me. In total, 40 minutes is optimal time for me to get ready. I tried routines that were 1 hour long, but I became too fatigued after a few games. And I also tried short warm-ups for 10 minutes, but I struggled to find consistency with those. So 40 minutes is like a sweet spot for me. All in all, warm-up is something we all should do, and we know it. If you want to steadily improve in anything you do in life, consistency is key and warm-up is foundation of it. I hope this video explains some of the concepts to think about when building your own warm-up routine. If I forgot a way that you love to do or you have some experience with, let me know in the comment section down below and I will be curious to try it out myself. Happy fragging and see you in the next video, which is already, I think, appearing on the screen somewhere right now. Bye bye. Take care. Bye bye.